you throw the gun in the river?
Melly would change his initial story, now saying Vontae tried to shoot him, and when Vontae pulled the gun, he snatched it. But knowing they had more guns, he ran to the apartments before firing off a shot.
This Ynw Melly footage being leaked of him snitching under pressure is crazy, and the timing is crazy. This how you can tell they're trying to set his ass up. Because think about it. The statement he gave police and the story he made up back when he got arrested for that shooting describes that the story that made up for the trial he's facing the 2 murders for now is kind of like the same type of story. He made up a crazy story back then saying he took the gun, he threw the gun. Who takes a gun from a dude, shoots at him, and throws it back towards the crowd and runs away?
That's when Melly clarified to detectives he had no gun of his own, that he in fact fired the gun he took from Vontae. Detectives would then ask after he fired, what did he do with the gun? And Melly would say he threw the gun back over to the area the group was when one of them picked it back up, later naming Vontae as the one who grabbed it.
Similar to the same story with the whole fake drive-by, I think this shit just shows that Ynw Melly could just make up a story the same way he made up the story based on the fucking 2 murders. It shows that he told Bortlen go to the hospital and came up with that whole story. You know that was his story. Now, a lot of people saying he can get off. Now, let me explain something to you. Let me give you an example. If you standing somewhere and there's 2 people behind you and one of them smack you and you turn around, who smacked you? One of them 2 dudes smacked you, right? So after you get smacked, I tell you, somebody drove by, jumped out the car and smacked you behind your head. It wasn't none of us. That's basically what this case is all about. They can't prove who the shooter is, but based on the way it went down, you can tell that it was only 2 people behind him and one of them smacked him. Now, let me explain the gunpowder being in Bortlen's hands, man. If he sent them off to the hospital with the dead bodies and staged the whole drive-by shooting, don't you think that explains why Bortlen had gunpowder in his hands? There was 2 guns they shot at the car with. They tried to make it look like a drive-by. You don't think he shot one of those guns to put bullet holes in that car? And if that's not the reason how he ended up with gunpowder in his hands, don't you think that if Ynw Melly sent him off, he then passed him the gun after he used it and said, here, get rid of that, which puts the gunpowder in his hands? I personally know situations when a dude ran in the block with a gun in his hands after catching a body, passed it off and said, here, get rid of that. And the person that ran away with the gun ended up getting arrested and charged with the murder because he had the gun and he had gunpowder in his hands.